Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the James Dre Show. I'm your boy Jay. Today I got an interesting topic. It's called "The Struggle Is Real." 5 times I felt like giving up. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to the single mothers. I want to give a shout out to the young parents, to the young married couples. I want to give a shout out to the fathers working double shifts, to the mothers going to school full time. I've been there. I did that. I definitely understand. So 5 times I almost felt like giving up. Number one was when both me and my wife were going to school full time. We was living in Bluffton, and we both had full-time jobs and were full-time students. And our schedule was like this. We would wake up like 4:30 in the morning. By 5, we had to leave our house. We had to get 30 minutes to go to Ridgeland. She would drop me off for work. I had to be to work 5:30. Once she dropped me off, she would then travel another 30 to 40 minutes to a town called Hilton Head, South Carolina, drop our son off at daycare. She would leave him at daycare, go to school, work. She worked at the bookstore on campus, go to class, work, go to class, work. At her lunchtime, around 1 or 2, she would come back to Ridgeland, pick me up, bring me back to campus, which my classes were in the afternoon. Then around like 5 or 6, we would get off of work, go pick up our son from this lady house who took care of him, it was daycare, I guess, and we would go home and do it all again. And when I tell you the amount of mental toughness we had to have to persevere, to this day, sometimes I look back at it and I get emotional. A couple times I felt like giving up. I know we both did, but we did. We persevered. Number two, the second time I almost felt like giving up had to be early on when we first once again moved to Bluffton. I was 22, she was 21. Our son was like a year old. We both was full-time students, working full-time. And, I could have asked my parents for help, but I didn't. So a lot of classes I took, I didn't even have a book. I would have my son in class with me. He would sit in my lap, so on and so forth. And I remember at the end of the first semester at USCB, I remember telling my wife, baby, I got a D or F in every class. Like, hey, it's not going to work. Like, I'm going to have to go to the military. I'm going to have to do something. Like, I got to figure something out. This is going to work. I'm done with school. It's over. And I remember getting my grades, and every teacher gave me C's. I had 4 C's. And that's not anything I'm proud of, but I just remember having just a little bit of hope. And I talked to one teacher in particular, and I said, hey, Professor, thank you, because I know I didn't. He did like this. He said, look, you're trying. I see it. You're trying. Keep trying, and you'll be surprised what you're going to get at in life, and walked away. And I'm thankful to him for that till this day. Number three, the third time that I felt like the struggle was just too real, I wanted to give up, was when we and my wife lived in Estill. We went to school, we were still going to school. But at this point, I was working on Hilton Head Island, which was like an hour and 15 minutes from Estill. And I worked overnight, so I would have time to go to class in the daytime. And the thing about it is, our car didn't have any air. No heat, anything. And this winter was so cold. And I remember going to work, an hour and 15 minutes on back road, was pitch black dark, wrapped up in 2 or 3 blankets. And it was so cold, and I was just trying to stick a finger out and steer the wheel. And I would have to go back and forth. And sometimes I had to stick my head out the window just to see. And I mean, it was so hard. It was just so real, just so, I don't know. But I knew it was something I had to do. I felt like giving up, but I didn't. I persevered. Number 4, the 4th time that I almost felt like giving up was, again, we were staying in Estill. My wife, she was going to a job interview. And doing the job interview, they said, hey, it was actually with a law enforcement agency. They said, hey, we could arrest you right now. You have a warrant for your arrest. And she said, what? My wife she never been in a fight, you know. And come to find out that we bounced a $35 check. And not that we did it on purpose, it's just that our funds in our account were so minimal that we bounced a $35 check. And the grocery store, turned it into the sheriff's office, and it was a warrant out for her arrest. Luckily, the check was so small, the job cut her a break, they let her go pay it off, and that was the end of it. But I just remember thinking, God, like, we're trying. I mean, we're trying. Why is this so hard? But I'm thankful that we kept on and we persevered. And finally, the fifth time that I felt like giving up was about 4 years ago when we started the home buying process. At this point, we both were graduated. We had decent jobs. We was making decent money. We paid off some debt. We thought we paid off some debt. We said, okay, we're ready to get a house. We stayed in this apartment we didn't really want to live in anymore. It was too small. Just a plethora of other problems I'm not going to get into, but I talked to a real estate agent, and after she looked at the numbers, basically me and my wife, we made the mistake of having everything in both of our names. And if anybody who ever got an FHA loan, you know that counts to your debt to income ratio both ways. So after she crunched the numbers and looked at our debt to income ratio, she said, you all are at 97%. It's going to take you 7 to 10 years to get this corrected. You're not ready to buy a house right now. And when I tell you my heart dropped, it did. I mean, I was so hurt. I was so defeated. If I ever went through a case of depression, it was that. I remember calling my mother and said, Mom, I don't know what to do. I'm trying. I'm working. I'm being a good father. I'm trying to be a provider. My wife wants a house, and I just was told it's going to take me 7 to 10 years to get financially stable enough to get a house. And I'm thankful, though, that my wife, number one, she stood by me. Number two, my mother raised me to have the mental fortitude to get through anything. And number three, she also taught me how to pray and have faith. And 3 and 4 years later, you can look through the window. We're in the home that we love, and it all worked out. Hey, y'all, the struggle is real. You're not the only one that's going through it. I've been through it. And I'm not saying I won't go through it again. But just know you can get through it. All you got to do is persevere. Peace. It's your boy Jay. I'm out.